Hello and a very warm welcome. This is viewer exclusive here on Viewer Television, the program where we bring you views and analysis on events that are trending within the nation. So the past week has been a very eventful time in the country. There's been allegations of fraud, there's been news of scandals and moral misconducts in the church. I mean, a lot has happened. And today on Viewer Exclusive, we're going to be treating the matters that have been arising in the nation. I wouldn't be doing this alone. I would have a political commentator join me to give his views and analysis. My name is Chinonso Chekwes. To join me again after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Viewer Exclusive here on Viewer Television. My guest today, like I earlier mentioned, is a political commentator. He is a lecturer with the Department of Mass Communications, the City Poly in Abuja, and his name is Ejiro Unuata. Very good to have you come on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
It's amazing. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your year.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Oh yes. So like I mentioned in my earlier introduction, there's been a lot that's been happening in the nation, and you're here today to give us your views and help Nigerians, if there is any way to make sense of the things that are happening. Are we going in the right direction with the decisions that have been made, with the current things that have happened, decisions that the government has taken? Are we on the right trajectory? Is there hope? Like the mandates, is there any view of the renewed hope that was promised us based on the things that we're seeing? Let's begin by getting your views on the current suspensions right now of some ministers due to some allegations around them. Let me call it an allegation, because the case is still unfolding, right? From that's notably Better Edu, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Now we're not talking. Well, if that's good by you, you can express your views on the allegations itself. But the step that the government has taken to suspend and ask that duties be given to most senior directors and all in the ministry. What's your view on that step that the government has taken?
Well, thank you very much once again for having me here. I think the president is in the right path because, it's a departure from what we used to have. In the past, in the previous administration, that is, we saw how when there are allegations like this, it's either the president then is too slow to react, or probably tell you he's not aware. And we've seen a Tinubu that is aware. Okay, it seems like he's on top of his game, because within 2 days, Better Edu was suspended. Some other suspension follows. So it sends a very strong signal to whoever out there that really wants to toe that path. It's not game as usual. Let me put it that way, because the president is not really relaxing on his oars. He's really taking actions, and Nigerians are kind of okay with that action for now, because in order to really have a holistic investigation, it needed to be suspended. And at the end of the day, we'll probably see what will pan out. We'll see how this will turn out. We want to know, because you see that particular ministry has been more like a conduit pipe where a whole lot happened. In the previous administration, we knew how we heard about how students were being fed at home during the COVID period. And a lot of persons asked questions, but there were no answers to those questions till today. If not for when we heard probably within the week, EFCC has invited that particular minister, that's the former minister of that particular ministry, to come explain herself. So we're equally hoping that something good will come out of the investigation, because we knew how at one time, if these persons were arrested, the next thing we hear is split bargain. And they just bring out money from their back pocket, and the whole thing is shredded in secrecy. But I think with Tinubu, it's going to be different.
All right, so there are three players in this game right now. If you'd ask me, I think the government the ministers themselves and the people, because some people have come out now, some quarters have come out to say Betta is our daughter. Tunji Ojo, he has walked. So therefore, what do you have to say to we and with this kind of reactions?
Well, let me start from the side of the people. You see, if we must get this right, we must do away with sentiment. All right? Because when you start saying, oh, Betta Edu is our person and all that, then we are not going anywhere. Then you have no right to hold the government accountable when there's so much corruption. You can't tell them that, because we have to do away with this is our person. At the end of the day, if this person is your person and is not doing the needful, everybody will suffer, including you that is saying is your person. All right?
Yeah.
So we need to get it right. We need to move. There must be a paradigm shift from what used to happen to where we want to be. That's on the side of the people now. Then on the side of the government has sent a strong signal to every other so-called corrupt politician out there, because you now know that, oh, you cannot just do anything and get away with it. Of course, you knew that if you are transferring so funds to a private account, is against the ethics of that particular office. So you might not want to do that. All right? So that's on the side of the government now. So everybody, we need to put all hands on deck to tackle this situation because at the end of the day, this person you call your person, whatever they've benefited from that particular scenario will not go around for everybody.
Yeah.
All right? It's just for them and their family. So let's do away with this, our people. We all feel the heat. So whoever has done anything wrong should face the music. An investigation is ongoing. So for now, we cannot say Betta Edu is guilty of any offense.
It's still an
till
allegation.
the investigation is concluded. But I think the president has done the right thing by suspending those involved so that we can know what really happened.
All right. So this case of misappropriation of funds and all of that is very prevalent in this particular ministry, that we know the people who are appointed there should be of high moral standards, if you ask me. So what do you think has been the problem with appointing people to these ministries, and what should be the change when it comes to making these kinds of appointments so that we don't hear these kinds of things often again?
Well, there should be a background check on anybody you're appointing, because you don't just appoint people based on sentiment or based on, what do I call it now? Maybe you want to favor those who worked for you. You know, you must put square peg in square holes. There must be people who are capable. And before then, the DSS should have done a background check. Is this person really competent? Is it capable?
But they do. And these people always skill.
When you say they do, equally we hear of allegations of some of these persons that have been cleared. Okay, we hear of allegations that at one time they did this, they did that. So you begin to wonder what kind of clearance they get. Okay, so there must be a background check, double checking of. If you say the DSS should do a background, there must be a double check to check the person who has been given this duty to perform, to check this particular person. Has the person really done a good job? We need to know, because at the end of the day, you see them, you appoint them, at the end they come out and show you who they really are.
Yeah.
Okay, so there must be a background check. We need to really know who are these persons, what they've done before, are they really capable? Not just because they worked for you during the election.
But because they have to be worth every bit of onion that they come with. Let's hang on that thought. We'll come back for more conversations on the matters arising. Let's go on this quick break and we'll be right back on Viewer Exclusive. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still viewer exclusive on viewer television. I'm still in conversation with Ejiro Unuata, a lecturer from the City Polytechnic in Abuja. Yes, so we're still talking on some form of suspensions now, not suspension of ministers. I would really like to get your view because I feel like this is your core. On recently, the federal government announced that there's been a suspension of accreditation and validation of certificates from some certain universities from Togo, Benin, and they've come out to list a few. What's your take on that generally? And then help us to understand what goes on during this validation, during this accreditation, that a lot was able to go unnoticed, or a lot is being able to go unnoticed.
Well, you see, it's a good thing because this has been happening for a whole lot of years now, and it seems like nobody is doing anything about it because, like I said before, putting square peg in square holes. You know, we saw the former minister of education once told us that he knew nothing about education when he was appointed, and it's quite sad because if you don't put the right persons there, probably
Which
they come
minister was
and
that?
learn on the job.
Adamu?
Yes, at one time
okay.
he said something like that. They come and learn on the job, and we don't need people coming to learn on the job. We have capable hands who probably know how to get the job done. So you see, if not for that particular journalist that blew the cover, of course, a lot of persons are aware that these things happen. You go to one mushroom university out there in Cotonou or Benin, wherever, and they come out with certificates that cannot be verified, you know, and before you know, you see, at this point, we need to start looking at certificates more than certificates. Because we place so much emphasis on certificates. And that's why we're having this problem. We need people who are capable, who could get things done. It's a good one that this we've suspended. I think we should even begin to look inward, you know, because there are some other mushroom institution, even in our country, that we need to really beam the searchlight on to find out what is really going on in there, because some of these persons just get accredited and the next thing, you don't run a check on them to discover what they are doing. You need to run a check to see what and how they go about it. It's not just all about increasing your fees and doing what you do, all right? You need to check how competent are the hands there. We need to understand, because at the end of the day, that's why we end up getting half-baked graduates. In fact, there have been situations where you see some persons who are graduates that could not even spell their name. And you begin to wonder, how did this person graduate?
Past that.
You know, so the system has been bastardized. We need to really come up with some mechanism to checkmate some of these institutions. We need to know what they are doing. The government needs to really set up a committee to that effect, because it's not enough to just suspend. I think at one time you need to even prosecute. Yes, you need to take it a step further. If you send a very strong signal, the people will adjust. And it's not enough to do all of this without you funding education. Okay, because what is the budget of education in this country? It tells you where the priority lies. The other day, somebody was making a comparison between how much was budgeted for the student loan. Student loan, we've not even seen anybody that has been able to access that loan because of the bottleneck involved in all that. And then how much was given to the House of Rep members and all that, their allowance and all that. So when your priority lies is an issue on its own. Does the government really have priority on education? All right? Because if you don't invest heavily on education, you have issues like this. You have half-baked graduates.
So you think a lack of investment in our education system is what is making people, parents and students, to go outside to get this certificate?
Yes, because you discover that there's so much strike in the system. You don't pay the lecturers where they go on strike. And a lot of persons, there's nobody in Nigeria today, well, I might be wrong, but that went through school without experiencing one strike or the other. At one time, you must If you escape it, then good for you. But somehow you must have encountered one or two strikes during your course of study. And you see, these are the things people are running away from. That is why you find out that people start going to abroad to seek for education and all that, and that is how they encounter some of these mushroom universities that we just graduate them within 6 weeks. It's more like the highest bidder now becomes a graduate. When you pay, they give you a certificate.
That costs a lot.
Now, what is the double checking? What is the system in Nigeria doing to double check if these certificates are really genuine? Of course, if you go check, you discover that it's genuine because the guy actually got it from. So that's another part. Now, was there due process? Did he really pass through the system?
Discipline.
You see, so that is the issue. You see, there are some things. If you take education, if you think it's not important, like they say, you try ignorance. And one of those things some persons will not do is this. Whenever you want to go get a doctor that will operate you, you always go for the best.
Yeah.
You don't want to compromise.
Yes.
Whenever you want to fly, you always you ensure the pilot is well trained and all that. But you see, if you don't do some of these things, if you don't put the right thing in place, one day you might end up going under the knife for a quack doctor who probably might just mess everything up for you.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those already. We've had a quack dentist somewhere in Kaduna and all of that. We've seen a few of that.
You see, it's because there's no check. Nobody really checkmates some of these things. And it's that bad. It's that bad.
So you've also, let's go back to something you earlier mentioned. They said we have to start moving from certificate to certificate.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you're talking about skills
Yes,
right now.
Of course.
But how do we now balance skill and people actually knowing that people are expertise now? They've earned their expertise. If there is no certificate to show that you have gone through this skill, do you now think that that is something that we should also begin to see, that when people go through a certain form of skill acquisition, they should be given some form of certification? And that's still bringing us to being certified for something, because a lot of people want to first see that there is an evidence that you can actually do this job, even though they are handy jobs.
Well, a lot of persons have certificates, but they don't know how to really carry out the task. That's why you see, when you employ a graduate, you still have to retrain them, okay, to meet up. Now, how do we go about it? You give the person a task to perform it. It's just like you say, oh, let's say you say I'm a theater artist, and then you're given the job. Of course, you have to show cause that yes, you can do this. It's not by certificate now. It's by what you can do. Yes, you need to be certified that you have a certificate to back what you're saying. But we should place more emphasis on your ability to get the job done. I think that's where the problem is. If you don't have the ability to do the job, but you have... I've come across a particular situation where somebody came out with a first class, and she went for an interview in an oil company, and one of those things they asked them to do is, this particular person now read mass communication.
Okay.
And one of those things they asked them to do is turn on the camera, do a recording, and do a cut and join. You know, they call it cut and editing, cut and join editing. But this particular person could not, and this is a first class person we're talking about, someone who got to first class.
So it was all
what does that tell you?
Theoretical.
Yes.
There was nothing practical.
So there must be practical. You must really put them through this. The government must fine-tune the educational system in such a way that people learn skills as well. Okay? It's not just come out, speak big grammars, and at the end of the day, you can't match it up with your ability.
And to watch us, that I think the government is doing some form of that part, because we know of the IGS project by the Ministry of Education and all of that.
There are some NSQ courses that they actually introduce, because they've really seen that this will become a problem in the future. So they are really waking up to try to fix that.
We should begin to march towards globally accepted, because that is one of the reasons why people are going out there to get this form of certifications. All right, let's go away from that, because there are a lot of matters that we would have to get your views on. Another matter that caught the interest of a lot of Nigerians again is the case of Daniel Bwala. the spokesperson for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he's currently the spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar during his campaign and all of that, and his visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And Nigerians have really questioned his integrity as a person because of what has come out of his visits and his utterances, the things he has said when he has come out. And this is conflicting with his earlier submissions on this particular government, saying in 100 years nothing will ever go well, nothing will ever go right. And this is, what do we think is up? I know there's been some talks of, is there a defection? Isn't there a defection? What do you think about Daniel Bwala's move?
Well, we need to understand politics in our country. How politics is being played in Nigeria.
How is it played?
It's all about interest, personal interest first. That is how it's being played. All right. So everything you hear from a politician, you must take it with a pinch of salt. Okay. Don't run all out, because I've come to realize
all politicians. I'm sorry.
Not all.
All
not
politicians.
All, not all. But I'm just speaking general.
Generally,
terms
all right.
But not all, because we still have some few ones who stick to their words, who tell you this is what we do and that is what they will do. But you see, the ones we see these days who are making waves are those who at one time they said something and then they go back to do another thing. So I'm not surprised, because it's politics. Like I said, in this part of the world, it's all about personal interest first, So I'm not surprised that he is now of not being with the president, because you must understand that there's a whole lot that have gone, there's a color of water that has gone under the bridge, like they used to say, So it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. So I think we should just follow him the way we see him. That's the way I'll put it, because you can't just take some of these politicians too serious. Why?
Okay.
Because they've said a whole lot. You see them coming out to either insult or discredit whoever is on power, and then the next minute an offer is made and they change their mind. They now belong to that particular camp. So I don't think it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal what they say, so we shouldn't begin to, in essence.
There's something I've noticed of recent. You see, the politicians in power are united, but the followers are not united.
Doesn't matter what parties they are.
It doesn't matter what party. When it comes to their interests, they are united. They do what they call divide and conquer. They get for themselves, But you see, the followers that is not the problem, because the day the followers become united, we'll be able to hold our leaders accountable. Because when you want to tackle a particular politician, you say, because it's not from our party, it's from the opposition and all that. So these are all issues that the followers need to sit down and understand. Because today, this man is in party A, the next minute, he say a whole lot and then move to party B. You don't know the color of water that has passed under the bridge. You understand? Probably an offer must have gone through and he tells you that, now I support this man, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You said something about whenever they make this thing, you see that there's a lot of rave around that. We know somebody like Doyin Okupe has come out to say something like that. Some have said some things about how ideologies, when we know that this is our politics here, we don't run. Ideology. So when we see all of these things happening, is this some form of political move? Just a game, just a gimmick, just something we shouldn't take them seriously?
You don't have to take them serious, hook, line, and sinker. No. You take it with a pinch of salt. If he says, I'm doing this, you watch him from afar. You don't start running with him and say, this man says this. No, because the next minute, he probably gets an offer. And like I said before, it's all about their own personal interest first.
Do you see Nigerian politics anytime near future or in the next generations to come being politics that is run by ideologies and men of integrity? Is that ever going to happen?
It will happen. It will happen because first we must be optimistic.
Okay.
We all know the problem. We in Nigeria, everybody, I believe if you call 1 or 2, 10, 15 persons, they will tell you the problem of Nigeria. But at this point, we need to start looking at the solutions to the problem. It's not enough to know the problem. We need to start identifying with who are these persons that can give us solution to our problem. So I think it will happen the day we come united, like you earlier said that so Eddie is being prosecuted and some persons are saying, oh, it's our person and all that. And so we need to do away with that sentiment. If it's your person and that particular person want to embezzle money that belongs to all of you, at the end of the day, to deprive you of what you're supposed to get. So we need to start looking at Nigeria as our country. You understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
Not what we can just get from Nigeria.
Generally become
what
more
can we do
patriotic.
collectively to make Nigeria a better place? Because you discover that, oh, there's this Japa syndrome. Everybody wants to go out there. That place you're going to was built by one or two persons. Okay, they put ideas together. They refuse to accept the way it was, and they make it a better place. So I think in our lifetime we'll see that happen because Nigerians are becoming more aware now. They are becoming more aware of what is happening, and if they know the solutions, it's just to identify this person and get these persons to be in the helm of affairs. It's not as if it's going to be that easy because those who are there now will not just give space. Like they say, power is not just given, it's taken. And how can you take it? You must be ready for it.
Yeah. All right, on that note, let's take a quick break. And when we return, we'll be getting your views again on some security matters that are rising in, especially the city of Abuja, the FCT, and a few lighter issues that are trending in the nation. Join us again right after the break.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulence, for ultimate comfort.
Discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Welcome back. This is still viewer exclusive on Viewer Television, and I'm still in conversation with Ejiro, Unuata, a lecturer from the Department of Mass Communication, City Poly in Abuja. Talking about Abuja, it's been a thing of concern in the past weeks that banditry, cases of kidnapping, not just on the Kaduna Abuja highway, but also within the FCT. FCT residents now are beginning to be agitated. People are scared of moving around, and we're looking at the minister, and we feel like he's being too involved in the politics of Rivers right now, and he's not putting the needs of the FCT residents, making it a priority. What's your take on what's that, and what should we be seeing the FCT minister do at this point?
Well, at this point, I think the FCT minister needs to really check out the security of the FCT. You need to really put all hands on deck, because you need to go back to the drawing board, because right under our nose, people are being kidnapped. Right in the FCT, everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere that is even left out now. So the people are really feeling the heat. I mean, 2 weeks ago, a colleague of mine was kidnapped, and he had to pay like 2 million to get out of the kidnappers den, and it's quite sad. People are complaining they don't have money, and then you have to cough out 2 million to pay for your freedom. So at this point, I think the FCT minister needs to really sit down with his security team and then check out what is really happening, because the number of one chance, like they call it, the one chance issue is everywhere now. Mostly notorious for that is this what's it called? Zuba Expressway, Zuba Kubwa Expressway. I think that particular route is really notorious for that. So they need to really checkmate what is happening, and the influx of some suspicious person. It's high time we start looking at if we want to set up some vigilante within, see something and say something, because security is everybody's business.
Yeah.
Okay. We must have some special lines that you can call when you see some suspicious movement. You should be able to call and say, okay, I don't understand what's happening. This happening in my area. Please, can you come check them out and all that? So, because we can't just leave it to the government alone. It's high time we the people stand up for our own security. We need to do something about it. It's not enough for you to expect a whole lot from the government, because they've shown that it's as if the government cannot be everywhere at every time.
Yeah.
So the citizens must wake up to their own responsibility to be able to tackle this menace.
Talking about the government not being everywhere at every time, some form of intelligence has it that this insecurity, the bandits and all within the FCT, are not just coming from within the FCT, but from the neighboring states too, which they call them the G7 right now, right? I think the people who the neighboring states. Do you think like the FCT minister or whoever, the security operative, should begin to liaise with the security intel of these other states too and the government, and probably drop politics aside?
Well, there's something you need to understand. You see, they have security. When you come from some of these states, you basically go through some checkpoints. So what are those guys doing? It's not enough because there's been allegations that all they do is collect money from motorists and all that.
Mostly so.
Yeah, so I think they need to move beyond that point. You need to have a call marshal that goes around to check if really these people are really doing that particular job. Because I was listening to somebody who said during this Christmas they traveled from I think Abuja to Cross River, and what they saw was really alarming. Some of the security personnel there, what they do is they get some other civilians close to them that goes to collect the money from the drivers and all that. So it's quite sad. So talking about the FCT, I think the FCT minister need to, if possible, empower some vigilantes. Every area should have a vigilante, okay?
Yeah.
That monitors what happens in that area, and probably give a matching order to some of these, is it Hakimi they call them in FCT, or the chiefs in FCT. If anything happens in your area, you will be held accountable, because they should be in charge of that vigilante. They should be able to tell us what happened and who are these strangers, because if you say strangers are coming in, there's no way a stranger will come into your community without you having notice who, because you must know somehow if they come in their numbers, you should be able to know that some persons are in your area that are not supposed, because some of the people in these suburbs of the FCT are the one really feeling the heat right now. Before you know, 20, 30 people are kidnapped, and you begin to wonder, how did they maneuver these persons to the bushes or whatever? So another thing is, set up a special squad that always go through these particular bushes to make that place ungovernable for these bandits and the rest, because they have a few days. What they do is, once they kidnap somebody, they take them through the bushes, trek for hours. And it's really sad.
And they go unnoticed.
They go unnoticed. So if there's enough sensitization in these communities, give them some numbers. If you see any strange movement, call, because I can assure you that some persons, some farmers will always tell you that, oh, they saw a large number of persons moving towards so direction, but since they have nobody to call, they don't know what to do.
They have no arms.
Nothing. So at this point, we should begin to look at that, sensitization, letting people know, tell them what to do when they see any strange movement, who to call, how to go about it. I think it will help a lot.
All right. Yeah, I'm still talking about, because you've mentioned security personnel, and it reminds me of a particular trending video now on social media that has been making the rounds, where the Nigerian police came out to give a sound of warning against the what do we call it now? It's a slogan. I don't want to say it's a slogan that we have given to ourselves. No grief for anybody. So now the police have come out to say they've given to sound a warning, and say they have intelligence, right, backing that up, even though they have come out on their Twitter page to say that they aren't saying that Nigerians shouldn't use it. We shouldn't use the slogan, which I feel is just them trying to wash whatever they have done. We now have, on the other hand, the Nigerian army now saying no grief for insecurity, no grief for this. We now have a politician, to Sanwo-Olu, sending off our Super Eagles to the AFCON and telling them no grief for anybody, bring the cup back. What do you have to say about this, especially in terms of the synergy that we are not experiencing within the security personnel, which of course we know that is a concern?
Of course. First, let me take it from the angle of the Nigerian army. I think they are looking at the positive side of that statement.
Oh, yes.
Yes, no grief for insecurity. What no grief for insecurity could mean, you see something, say something.
Yeah.
They attack you, don't just make it easy for them. Because some of these bandits, they know that if they attack and you are not resisting, it becomes very easy for them.
Yeah.
That's why they'll keep coming. But when they come, and then you attack, you fight back. Yes, you might be asking, oh, fight back with what? Of course, the no grief, it could be anything. You could put up a resistance. Okay? If they discover that, oh, this guy is no grief, next time when they want to come, they'll think twice. They'll say it will not be easy. So kudos to the army for looking at it from the positive side. I think the Nigerian police should have told that part too, rather than just looking at it will cause what they call it now, revolution and all that. I think they should look at the positive side. They should work more on the positive to encourage Nigerians. No grief for insecurity. Okay? If you see somebody wants to commit a crime, report that person. That's what no grief means. Okay? Rather than telling us it could cause revolution. And this synergy, it means that there's no synergy between the two forces. Everybody's just doing their own. But there should be synergy, because if we must get it right, they must be speaking with one voice. Okay? Yes. At this point, anything that happens in Nigeria, the security agencies should speak with one voice. I think the Nigerian police should look at the positive side of that statement. No grief for insecurity. It should be a slogan for themselves. They should make it a slogan, no grief for insecurity.
Yeah.
So that it will sink. Whenever you are attacked, you will think of what to do to help yourself out, to help your community, by not agreeing. Don't make it easy for them.
Yes. And then Governor Sanwo-Olu also told Spangles they shouldn't agree. They should bring back the cup to Nigeria. On that note, let me get, what are your expectations from the AFCON?
Well, being a patriotic Nigerian, if you ask me, I think Nigeria will bring back the cup, because we're not going to agree.
Is it just by the energy we have?
It's not by the energy. We have what it takes. We have the players. You know, if you are very conversant with the football world, you will discover that we have the African best footballer of the year. All right, we have these guys who are really doing well in their clubs, so there's no excuse. I think that's a very good way to spice them up, to ginger them, like they say in Nigeria.
Them, yes.
Give them ginger. You know, no greed. Bring the cup back.
Bring the cup back.
So whenever you're losing and you remember that saying, no grief for anybody.
You should take it. They should
So
seize
you
the cup.
put more effort to make sure you bring that
That
cup
they
back.
bring the cup back. All right, let's end this on a not so light note, but away from politics and all of that. Another trending video now, more like a documentary that was focused on late TB Joshua and all the scandals, all the allegations. God rest his soul, he is not here to defend himself, and his lawyers have come out to say that was not even his thing. He wouldn't have come out to say, let me defend this, because he sees it as a distraction. But we're looking at it basically now from the angle of these people who have come out, who are victims, and Nigerians, and their reaction to the BBC documentary, blaming the documentary and calling on colonialism and all of that. What's your take on that particular?
Well, this is a very strong one, because the man in question, who is at the center of the storm, is not even alive.
Yeah.
So I, for one, would have preferred if he were alive, so that we'll hear from his own. They put a question to him to find out if really he did this, because right now it's neither here nor there, because you can't really say, yes, there are victims who came out to say this is what he did to us and all that. But you see, every situation has, I would say a coin has three sides. Usually they say it's two sides, but I think it's three sides.
What's the third side?
The third side is the edge.
Okay.
And the edge might just be what will really balance the story. If you've heard from one side, which are the victims, the other side would have been TB Joshua, and probably the third side wouldn't know.
Don't know what.
But so that's just because the situation we find ourselves now. So for now, what I would say is Nigerians should be wise, because we've seen video of how people worship some of these their so-called leaders. You know, Christianity should be practiced with your five senses. Okay, don't just pick one and run away with it. You should be able to study the Bible yourself. You should be able to know what the Bible is saying, because this whole thing happened when people just look for quick miracle. They don't study the Bible to even know what the Bible is saying.
So we
they just want
gullible and we take in anything. All right, so because we're running out of time, we have to wrap up now. A yes or no answer. Do you think the federal government should put in some investigation into this matter? Yes or no?
Which of them?
Into the TB Joshua, into the allegations that are put against him.
It's not necessary. It's a no.
It's a no.
It's a no.
They shouldn't investigate.
They shouldn't.
All right, that is a very good place to wrap it up for us. Maybe after this, I'll get your response on why they should not investigate. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiro, for coming on today. Your views and analysis have been very helpful and impactful. And thank you too for sticking with us till the end of the show. This has been viewer exclusive here on Viewer Television. Until I come your way again, my name is Chino. So check us. Have a good day.